So our next equation, next important partial differential equation which we are going to solve using the separation of variable is Laplace equation. So we see that this is the main equation, uxx plus uyy is equal to 0. So first we see what is the Laplace equation, how it is differ from heat equation and wave equation. What does u represent in this case? And then when we see the boundary condition, these four conditions, not the boundary condition but the boundary and the limiting conditions, we will see that we are going to solve a particular case which is according to these conditions is actually the steady state temperature of a semi-infinite rectangular plate. So this is the main PDE. These are the boundary conditions. We will see how it satisfies the situation of the semi-infinite rectangular plate. These are the limiting conditions or side conditions or additional information. And why we are not using this time the initial condition, the word initial conditions, as we have seen in the heat equation and wave equation. This is because when you see at the equation, main equation, you cannot find the single or double derivative with respect to time, which means that this equation has no involvement of time, it is independent of time, and this is called the steady state equation. And in contrast to this, the heat equation and wave equation are considered as time evolution equations, which means that the particular quantity which we are going to measure represented by u has a dependence on time in heat equation and wave equation, but the particular variable u represents something which could be some vibration, which could be some steady, for example temperature. So it is independent of time. It is measured when enough time, long enough time has been spent and we want to see the situation of the u. So we see that there is no time derivative with respect to u, but we have the x coordinate and y coordinate. So as compared to heat equation and wave equation, which we solve the cases for one dimension, this is called two-dimensional partial differential equation because we see the dimension according to the space coordinates. So there are two space coordinates, x and y, rectangular coordinate system we are using. And then if you compare this ux0, then you remember that for time is equal to 0 we used as initial condition, but here these are called the boundary conditions and these are the limiting conditions. So writing a little bit intro about the partial differential equation, and then we will see how these conditions describe the scenario for the steady state temperature of a semi-infinite rectangular plate. So when we see the equation, this is the second order partial differential equation because the highest derivative is x, either with respect to higher order derivative is 2, the order of derivative is 2, which is either with respect to x or with respect to y. So this is called the Laplace equation in 2 dimension. And according to the conditions given, we have to solve the problem for the function u, which depends on x and y only. So it depends on the space coordinates only. So the diagram for the scenario is so if we think here we are trying to find the solution for all positive x starting from 0 to x, so x is greater than 0 and y has limit from 0 to h. So if we see this area, if we shaded this area, then this is the shape described by these conditions. That x is something greater than 0 and y has limit from 0 to h. Y is not infinite as x is infinite. So we have seen a rectangular shape which is 2-dimensional. So we are called it is a plate, and we call it the semi-infinite because it is finite in 3 sides, but it is infinite when x approaches to infinity. So that is why it is called a semi-infinite rectangular plate. Now what we are going to find? We are going to find the solution for all positive x and y, all y 0 to h. And what is u representing here? So if we think u as the temperature at any point xy inside the shaded area. So any point, if we are taking any point inside the shaded area, then each point is represented by u, x, y coordinate. And u, what is the u? U representing the temperature. So if we use steady state temperature at any point xy inside that plate, then the conditions, what does these conditions describe? So the scenario is this is a semi-infinite rectangular plate we have some heat distribution inside it, and we are going to measure the heat or temperature. We are going to measure the temperature basically on any point after a very long time when there is no changing in the distribution. So distribution is complete. So it is not necessary that each point has a constant temperature, because we have different temperature at the sides. So the temperature at here would be different from the temperature at here. And now what these conditions are describing, that ux 0. So for all x but y is equal to 0 is this side. At x-axis the value of y is always 0. So x is increasing from 0 to infinite, but y is 0 here and y is ranging from 0 to h. So at this side the temperature is 0 because u is representing temperature here. And similarly the other side, which is xh. So for all x is increasing, h is constant. Here for all x and h, the temperature is 0 here. So on both sides the temperature is 0. At x 0 but y, which is from 0 to h, the temperature is 1, which is considered as some constant temperature. And the third condition says that for uxy inside, which means the shaded area inside these two sides, is approaches to 0 as x approaches to infinity. So here we have some constant temperature, so we will see some temperature here, we will see some temperature here, but when we goes further from the in the direction of x, then this temperature goes to 0. This clearly indicates that after a very long time, when there is no time evolution of the temperature inside this area, there will be some different values of temperature, u represents the temperature at each point. Near some constant temperature, there should be some value of temperature here. At near the end, both sides temperature would be 0, but in mid there will be some value of temperature. So in order to measure the different values of temperature, we are going to use the Laplace equation, which depends on the space only, not the time. So if temperature here is something, then it would be forever this value. If temperature has different value, for example here, for this point, the temperature will be forever the same. It does not depend on time. But these two are different from each other. So these conditions describe the scenario, and we are going to see a particular example of Laplace equation, which is the steady state temperature of a semi-infinite rectangular plate, and we are going to solve this Laplace equation using the separation of variables. So here we define x greater than 0. Here again x is greater than 0. The second one reserved for the y, which is having range from 0 to h. For both x and y, x going to infinity, however y is finite and it ranges less than h or greater than 0. And here again the general variable y has range 0 to h. So we have defined the limiting conditions and the boundary conditions. Since there is no initial condition, because we always say that an initial condition represents the starting of the experiment, and in this Laplace equation we are not interested in transient solutions, but we are looking for the steady state solution, or the solutions in which time is considered as infinity. So we can call them boundary conditions, but we call them as the limiting conditions because they are limiting the temperature inside the shaded area. Now we start the solution, and when we start the solution by method of separation of variable, we always considered our solution, which is u, which is a function of x and y. We always considered as the product of two independent variables, as we did in the heat equation and wave equation. So here we do not use x and y, we can use anything, but to differentiate it with the previous questions, we call f, which is function of x, and we considered y, which is function g, which is function of y. In the previous question, we always take our assumed solution as equation number 2. Now what do we need is uxx and uyy, which means that we have to differentiate our assumed solution twice with respect to x to get the uxx, and we have to differentiate u with respect to y twice to get the uyy, and then we will put the value of uxx and uyy in equation number 1. Now when we differentiated the solution twice with respect to x, then we will get uxx. In that case, gy is considered as constant and will be taken outside of the derivative, and this will becomes the double derivative of f, and we call it a. If we differentiate twice with respect to y, which means that we are going to take derivative of this term and this will be considered as constant, so it will be the same, and double derivative of g would be g double prime. We call it equation B. So putting equation A and equation number B in equation number 1, which is the main equation, Laplace equation, we will get f double dash of x is equal to minus g double prime, which is a function of y, into gy. So we put the values there, we rearrange it, and we will find a situation like this. And now here we are going to see a situation where the ratio of two independent variables is equal to each other, and by the same reason we considered that these two ratios are equal to some constant, which we are going to see the lambda, and we call it the separation, constant of separation. So this constant of separation give us two differential equation, which is f double dash minus f lambda is equal to 0. We call it equation number 3. And another equation is, due to this minus sign, we have a different equation, which is d double dash plus lambda g is equal to 0. We call it equation number 4. So what do we do now? We always solve equation number 3, but this time we are going to solve the equation number 4. First, because we have a limiting conditions for the y is infinite and y is finite from 0 to h, but x is infinite. So if you remember that in the heat equation and wave equation, we solve the equation which has some boundaries, and at that time the time is infinite. It started from 0 and approaches to infinity, and here in this scenario x is starting from 0 and approaching to infinity, So that's why we are going to solve the equation number 4 first, and we will make the boundary conditions for this equation. However, we have to find both of them, because our assumed solution is basically the solution of equation number 3, which is f of x, and the solution of equation number 4, which is g of y. So we have to find both these solutions, and we will put it in equation number 2, our assumed solution, and we will find the solution of this equation. And then that would be the general solution, and for the particular solution we will use the limiting condition as we did in the heat equation and wave equation, and we use there the initial conditions, but here we will use the limiting conditions. So we are going to find this equation number 4 first, which is a little bit different because previously we've solved the equation for the minus sign. Now we are going to solve the equation for the plus sign. Now we need to find the new boundary conditions, because the old boundary conditions are depending on both f and g, but what do we need is, or x and y, but we need an equation that only dependent on the y, so that we can put that boundary conditions in this solution. So previously, as we find our new boundary conditions using the assumed solution, so the assumed solution again is u xy is equal to f of x and g of y. So if we apply first boundary condition, then it would be x0 f of x g of 0 is equal to 0. So here we are going to find that which one is 0, because we see the product of two terms f of x and g of 0 is 0, so one must be 0. So by the reason that, as we have seen that x approaches from 0 to infinity, so it means that the starting point is x. So we are going to find a solution from the x is equal to 0 to infinity. Therefore we cannot take x is equal to 0, otherwise the solution would be only the side where x is equal to 0. But we have to find the all positive value of x. That's why we cannot take the f of x equal to 0 and we take g of 0 is equal to 0, and we call it our first new boundary condition. And then in order to get the second new boundary condition, we will again take our assumed solution, and at that time we are going to put h in place of y. So it will become g of y, and when we see the product of two terms is going to 0, so one must be 0. By the same reason, we consider g of y is equal to 0, and we call it our second new boundary condition. So we have our new boundary conditions, and we are going to find the solution for this equation. I am going to write these new boundary condition at the top corner. So the boundary conditions we are having is g0 is equal to 0 and g of h is equal to 0. Now when we see this differential equation, the characteristic equation is something sigma square plus lambda is equal to 0. So this is the characteristic equation. So for the value of lambda, which is the constant of separation, we have three choices: lambda either 0, lambda is greater than 0 or positive value, or lambda is less than 0. So we have to find the solutions for this equation for 3 different cases, and we will see that which value of lambda will give us the non-trivial solution. So we will see first, start with the case 1, when lambda is equal to 0. When lambda is equal to 0, which means that we get sigma is equal to 0. If we put lambda is equal to 0 here, then the sigma would be 0. So the roots are real and equal. So we will get the real and equal roots. So lambda is equal to 0, which means that g double dash is equal to 0. And if we integrated it twice, then we see that the solution satisfy is ay plus b. So this is how we get the solution for this equation and the lambda equal to 0. So we will use this solution and we apply first boundary condition in the general solution. In general solution, which would g of 0 is equal to a into 0, because we are placing y, this is the first boundary condition, plus b is equal to, because this g of 0 is equal to 0, implies that b is equal to 0. Now we apply second boundary condition. In this general solution, where b is already 0, so we see that g of h is equal to a, and now we place h in place of y. We have to write plus b, but we already seen that b is equal to 0, and this g of h is equal to 0. Here we see that we have a solution, we have a situation where the product of two members is 0, either a is 0 or h is 0. So since h is the length of the y, which is starting from 0 to h, so h is some positive number, that's why h cannot be 0. Which means that we are leaving with a is equal to 0. So if in case when both of the constant of this equation are 0, this means that this solution is giving us the trivial solution. We have found one case for lambda, that was lambda is equal to 0, and today we are going to start with case 2. In which lambda is less than 0, or lambda is equal to minus k square. So for that case, the characteristic equation will become sigma square plus lambda is equal to 0, and the roots will be real and unequal. And the general solution would be combination of exponential. Therefore, the general solution for equation number 3 would be a exponential kx plus b exponential minus kx. So we have the boundary conditions and we can find the value of a and b. So when we apply first boundary condition, then first boundary condition would become g of 0 is equal to a exponential k, we put 0 in place of x, plus b exponential minus k into 0, and this g of 0 is equal to 0. From there we can find exponential 0 is equal to 1, so plus b into 1 is equal to 0, and this implies that b is equal to minus a. Now we continue our question here by applying second boundary condition in the general solution. So applying second boundary condition in general solution will lead us to g of h is equal to a exponential kh plus b exponential minus kh. And when we see g of h, it is 0. So from here we can substitute b is equal to minus a, and we take this exponential in denominator to make it positive, and the situation would become exponential kh minus a upon exponential kh is equal to 0. If we take a as common, then we have e exponential kh minus 1 upon exponential kh is equal to 0. Now here we have a situation where two members, the product of two members is 0. So either a is equal to 0 or this bracket term is 0. So we have seen that the exponential cannot be 0 because since h is the height, something height 0 to h, it is in the y direction. So h cannot be 0, this is non-negative term. K is negative, but it is not the exponential. So only this term would be 0 if k is exponential. Therefore, this term cannot be 0, considered 0, and we have to sacrifice a to justify this expression. Therefore, a is equal to 0. And since b is equal to minus a, therefore b is also 0. Since both of the constant of this general solution are 0, therefore we have got a trivial solution. Which means that this result or this general solution is not of our use. So now we are going to find the case 3 in which lambda is greater than 0. So for solving case 3, lambda is greater than 0 or lambda is equal to positive k square, then the characteristic equation would be lambda square plus sigma square plus lambda is equal to 0. In previous case, in case 2, it was something plus minus lambda because lambda was less than 0. But in this case, sigma square plus lambda is equal to 0. And if this is the situation for the characteristic equation, means that sigma square is equal to minus lambda. So it will have complex roots. With zero real part, which means purely imaginary roots. And the general solution is the linear combination of sine and cosine. Therefore, the general solution for this equation when lambda is greater than 0 would become a cos ky plus b sin ky. Because we are solving the y equation, so there would be y in this solution and there would be y in the exponential solution as well. So we apply first boundary condition in this. So we start with the clearly from here. We start with the beginning. So we apply first boundary condition in general solution. It will give us g of 0 plus a is equal to a cos k into 0 plus b sin k into 0, and this g of 0 is equal to 0. From here we see that cos 0 is 1, sin 0 is 0, therefore a is equal to 0. So first constant gets 0 by applying first boundary condition. Then we apply second boundary condition in the general solution. So the general solution was g of h is equal to a cos kh plus b sin kh, and this is equal to 0 because g of h is equal to 0 here. We have seen that a is equal to 0, therefore this term completely vanished and we are here with b sin kh is equal to 0. Now since we have the last chance where lambda we are going to examine we are examining the last value of lambda, which is lambda greater than 0. Both other cases have given us the trivial solution, and since now we have a is equal to 0, so if we consider b is equal to 0, which means that we will also get the trivial solution in this case and we cannot solve the equation. Therefore, in order to save the b, we forcefully say that b is not equal to 0 and we consider sin kh as 0 term. And we know that this sign of something can be 0 if this something is equal to n pi. So in order to validate this statement, we have to consider that kh must be equal to n pi, and this gives us the value of k, which is n pi upon h. So when we put this k is equal to n pi upon h in our general solution, in which a becomes 0, general solution, if you remember, was g of y is equal to a cos ky plus b sin ky. So a term was 0, so general solution will be reduced to gy is equal to b sin ky, and we can put b sin k is equal to n pi upon h y, where n is equal to 1, 2, 3 and so on. Since there are n sine terms because of inclusion of this n, each sine term has its own coefficient, therefore we have to introduce a subscript n here which separate all b's for all sine terms. Therefore this is not a single solution, this is a multiple solution, b1, b2, b3, b4. Therefore we have to mention that this solution is also a multiple solution, so we introduce n here as well. This is the solution for the equation number 3 and we call it equation number C. We write it here. Since we are going to solve equation number 4 now, so we note down our solution here. Gn of y is equal to bn sin n pi upon h y. Now we solve equation number 4. Equation number 4 was, it was in f minus lambda f is equal to 0. Since we have found that we found this solution at lambda is greater than 0 or lambda is equal to k square, positive k square. So we are not going to solve this equation for all three values of lambda, but only for the lambda is greater than 0. In this equation, when lambda is equal to 0, this will have the solution in the form of exponentials, and it would be c exponential minus kx plus d exponential kx, where lambda is equal to positive k square. So the solution would be in the form of exponentials. Now we need to find the c and d, and since we replace k with n, minus n pi upon h x plus d exponential n pi upon h x. Since n are multiple, so we have to introduce a subscript n with each coefficient, so every exponential term has its own coefficients. Similarly here, it should have its own coefficient. So this is the solution for the equation number 4, and we call it D as it was C. Now putting C and D in equation number 2, which was our assumed solution, that was u of x y was f of x and g of y. We have both f of x and g of y, and now we can So by putting equation C and D in equation 2, we got this result. And for the due to the involvement of n, which is n is equal to 1, 2, 3, so on, we have multiple solutions. So we have to mention this un as unxy, which means that this is the multiple solutions. These are the multiple solutions. This is not a single solution. Now if you remember, we have the limiting condition. We have used our both boundary conditions, and we have a limiting condition which says that un approaches to 0 as x approaches to infinity. If you remember this, we have written down this as our one of the limiting condition. Now if we see the expression, final expression we have got, or we can put bracket here. If we see the situation here and we put x to infinity, so if we put x approaches to infinity in this term, then this would become 0, because exponential minus infinity is equal to 0. But this portion would not become 0. So in order to follow this condition that un approaches to 0, we have to consider that this dn is equal to 0. If we consider that dn is equal to 0, then when we put x approaches to infinity, we get this un is equal to 0. So our dn goes to 0, and the solution reduces to only cn exponential minus n pi upon h x bn sine n pi upon h y. So we combine these two constants and we call it bn. So the form will get n pi upon h y unx. Now we use the superposition principle here to make it our as our assumed solution. So it will be a single solution if we sum all of these solutions, because superposition principle says that sum of the solution is also a solution. So if we sum all these solutions, then it would become bn minus n pi upon h x sine n pi upon h y. Now we have to find this bn. We can call it as our general solution. In order to find the value of this coefficient bn, we did not use all of the information we have got. So the last information we have got is u 0y is equal to 1. So what do we do now? We apply this condition into the general solution. So applying u0y is equal to 1 to the general solution to get the b sub n. So we put x is equal to 0 here. So when we put x is equal to 0 here, then this exponential would become 1. So we are remaining with summation n is equal to 1 to infinity b sub n sine n pi upon h y, and that is equal to 1. So now we can use the orthogonality relationship as we have done in the wave equation and in the heat equation. So we have 1 here. That means that if we apply the orthogonality relationship, then we will be Bn would be 0 to h, two by h, 0 to h sine n pi upon h y dy. So if we take the integration, we solve it integration, then it would be 2 pi h, 2 upon h, integration of sine n pi upon h y dy would be minus cos n pi upon h 0 to h divided by n pi upon h. That would be equal to 2 h upon n pi divided by h. We take the minus sign outside and we have cos n pi upon h by 0 to h. This h will cancel out each other. So b sub n would be equal to minus 2 upon n pi. When we apply the upper and lower limit, then we will get cos n pi h upon h minus cos n pi into 0. This would be equal to minus 2 upon n pi. H cancel, cos n pi can be written as minus 1 raised to the power n minus cos 0 is 1. So this is the value of b sub n. Now we see that if we put n positive, then minus 1 raised to the power n is positive if n is even and negative when n is odd. So minus 1 raised to the power n is positive 1 if n is even, and bracket term so if we put n is equal to even number, then this term would be 1. If we put 2 here, then minus 1 square is equal to 1 and 1 minus 1 is 0. Therefore, for every n even number, this minus 1 would become a positive 1 and this bracket term would become 0. And for any odd value of this n, this bracket term would become minus 1 and minus 1 and minus 1 would become minus 2. Therefore, we can summarize this result as Bn is equal to 0 if n is even. So if this one is 0, then the whole term would become 0. So Bn would be 0 if n is even. And when n is odd, then we have we have 4 upon n pi if n is odd. Therefore, it means that we only consider the odd values of n and we will leave all even values of n. So how can we get rid of this thing? By replacing n is equal to, so to get rid of the even values of n here, which makes the result 0, we replace n is equal to 2k minus 1. So if we replace it 2k minus 1, then for every value of k, whether it is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, n will always give you an odd value. So we can write the general solution uxy as summation n is equal to 1. It was the original one, bn. We were going to find the bn and we have found this result. Bn exponential minus n pi x upon h sine n pi upon h pi, these are h, n pi upon h, so bn would be 4 upon n pi. But it would be 4 upon n pi only if n has odd value, not from 1 to infinity. Therefore, we have to write that summation n is equal to odd. So this bn would become 4 upon n pi. Or we can replace n is equal to 2k minus 1. So if we replace n is equal to 2k minus 1, then the solution would become k is equal to 1 to infinity instead of n. Then all n would become 2k minus 1 exponential minus 2k minus 1 pi x upon h sine 2k minus 1 pi upon h y. This would be the final solution. And this is because we have found the value of bn in the general solution. This is called the particular solution.